So I wanted to talk to you about sodding this area. So we're on the edge of the driveway, and then they've got this brick border, and then we have the yard out here. And so people always say, well, how do we lay the sod? What direction? That sort of thing. So I wanted to talk to you about a couple things to keep in mind. This particular area is flat, and so it's pretty simple. It doesn't really matter which direction you go, but I do want to tell you about some important things here. You see this edge along here? What we want to do with the sod is we want to take that sod and we want to run right along that edge. And we want a solid piece here. And the reason that we want that solid piece is so that it runs on that edge. Then you can turn the sod. So if you wanted to and you wanted to run it this way, you could turn the sod and run it this way. So that way, now it's together that way. The other thing that you also can do is you don't have all your little bitty pieces or cut pieces out here. Your cut pieces are going to be in the inside. What that does is that protects them from water. That protects them from drying out. That also protects them, in this particular case, from a sidewalk or a driveway where somebody's going to step over the edge and then maybe pull it up or cause it to come up. Or the landscapers come in the edge and they don't pay any attention, and then they rip up all the little bitty pieces of sod along the edge. Again, this area is flat. Now, if we had an area that's sloped, say we had a slope here, we want the sod to run perpendicular to the water flow. So if the water is coming down the hill, we want to go left or right or across the slope. And the reason we want to do that is, and we want the sod to do kind of like a brick border does. And we want it to not line up. So when you see the seams of the sod, say here, on a slope, we don't want the next seam to be right here. We want the seam to be in the middle. And the reason is that way the water coming down the slope doesn't just run straight down the seam and then wash out. We go to projects all the time where they're on a slope and they wash down the hill, and then now we've got a crater under the sod here, and the sod folds down. Or in a lot of cases, the sod will actually be moved and washed down the hill. We also recommend, if you're on a slope, that you use sod staples. You can go to the hardware store or you can buy them at a supply place, and they are little staples. They vary in size, but they're in a U shape, and what you do is you take them and you just put 3 or 4 of those in the sod, kind of random places, maybe at a row or 2 rows, and then skip a couple of rows. There are different, I don't really feel there's a specific way, but you need to make sure that you do that on a slope. And the reason is because that water comes down. We don't want this sod with enough water to roll up or float or move away. And we also can, on a slope, you may want to use some silk fence to hold the water. The flow of water is the issue. The velocity of the speed of the water coming down the hill, it will push the sod and roll it up. So you want to make sure, maybe put that silk fence in a couple places if you have an extreme issue with slope or drop in that. But you also just make sure, the biggest things is to make sure your seams don't line up, and make sure that you staple it down so that it'll hold and stay in place until it takes root. So hopefully this helps you get that beautiful lawn that you're looking for this spring.